So just as a reminder, the masks that we wear them primarily to protect others from our respiratory droplets and aerosols. This picture here shows you the size of the different particles. So on the outer edge here, we have a human hair. So you can see that in the corner. Then this is a piece of sand, a grain of salt. And if you go all the way down here, to this little red dot, that's a coronavirus. And it's very small, between 0.1 and 0.5 micrometers. And this is where the type of mask that you wear is very important. So in this picture here, this is a close-up of a piece of fabric, close-up of a piece of paper. This is the size of a respiratory droplet. And I have heard it said that coronavirus going through like one sheet of fabric is like a mosquito going through a chain link fence. So we'll get into why you're going to have to use more than one piece of fabric if you're wearing a cloth mask. So these are the different recommended face masks. The cloth mask, we're going to look at the different types of fabric and how effective they are. The surgical mask and your N95 mask. And of course, the N95 is recommended for healthcare workers. However, some of you may already have some, and we'll talk about that towards the end. So these are the layers of protection that are making your mask effective. Your outer layer, which prevents the fluids from getting into your mask. An inner layer, which is going to retain the viruses in both directions, coming from the outside and coming from yourself. And then this inner layer is going to absorb the fluids from your respirations. So here we have the N95 mask and the KN95 mask. And the only difference, they're very subtle differences, but this is the mask that is made according to United States specs. And the KN95 is made according to Chinese specs, and they are equivalent in quality. They're both going to prevent at least 95% of your particles from getting through. But one of the only differences is the Chinese requirements. They make sure that this mask fits snugly on a certain percentage of people, so they test the fit on real people. And we don't have that particular requirement on the N95, but you always want to make sure it has this NIOSH number right here. And that's how you know it's approved. So here are some of the different types of fabric. So they each have different types of filtration. So silk is only going to keep out 58% of your particles. A scarf is going to do 62%, a cotton t-shirt, a dish towel. And then of course they have a vacuum cleaner bag here, but it's very difficult to breathe through a vacuum cleaner bag. And then you have your surgical mask up here. So if you're making your own mask, what is recommended is quilting fabric because it has a very fine weave. And you're going to be using 2 layers. So like we saw in the earlier picture, you're going to have your inner and outer, and then you're going to have a filter on the inside. And one thing that makes a really good filter if you are making your own mask is shop towels, the kind of things that you would find in the auto supply store. But they did tests on them, and they had a very high level of filtration. So if you sew on your own, you can just put those in as a liner. So how to wear your mask properly. You want to make sure that your ear loops are not too tight and not too loose. If it's too loose, you're going to have air pockets back here. You want to make sure it's going over your nose, just under the bridge and under your chin. And here's some tips on the side in terms of handling your mask. Of course, you're going to always wash your hands, particularly after touching your mask. Some masks will have ties on the back instead of ear loops. And you're going to use those ties or loops to take off your mask. You don't want to touch the front of the mask, particularly when you take it off. And when you do take off your Your mask, you're gonna kind of treat it like hazardous waste until you sanitize it. And we'll get more into cleaning at the end of it. And the mask, of course, is used in conjunction with other protection methods like your hand washing, physical distancing. Here are some wrong ways to wear a mask. You don't wear it below your nose. Don't leave your chin exposed. Don't wear it loosely with gaps, and you'll typically have gaps either on the side or right around your nose. And you don't want it hanging on your nose like that. And you don't want to push your mask under your chin to rest on your neck, because just in your handling, you can deal with contamination of your mask, particularly if it's touching your skin that's been exposed. Here are some types of masks that you don't want to wear. So you don't want to wear anything that has vents or valves in it. This does not protect people around you. It lets you breathe air in, and it filters the air that you breathe in, but it's not filtering the air that you breathe out. So this is dangerous for people around you. You don't want to use these outdoor sports masks. As you can see, they don't offer the kind of protection you need, and it might seem intuitive not to wear this, but I have actually seen this type in my neighborhood. Okay, spandex neck gaiters. You might have heard not to wear the neck gaiter at all, but the issue is that the material, when it's made out of one layer of spandex, when you stretch it, it becomes much more porous, and it's actually worse than wearing no mask at all because your droplets will get divided into smaller droplets. So it's going to create more droplets in your environment, more than even wearing no mask at all. So those are not recommended unless you have a double layer. This sponge mask right here, this is really a cosmetic mask, or maybe a pollen mask, but it's not offering any protection from viruses or bacteria. And of course, the face shields are completely ineffective by themselves. It's only going to stop 2% of particles from getting into your respiratory system. So here are some things you can do to make a mask more comfortable. These are double-sided tapes that you can put around the mask to make it make the air pockets not a problem with your mask wearing. This is a little plastic piece that you can put over your nose and mouth so that the mask is not right up on your breathing. These are little clips you can put on the ends to make your loops tighter if they're too loose. And then you can also get extenders, mask extenders, if the loops are either too small or you need to put it around your head like this. And then there may be a need for a special size mask. So if you're a child, you'll need a child size mask. This is a special mask for men with beards, because you see how this picture is riding up. And then I heard reports that this part of the mask will go in their eyes. So if you have a need for a special size, you might just have to look a little more to find the special sizes. And lastly, cleaning and reusing your masks. If you have cloth masks, you can either hand wash your mask with soap, or you can put it in the washing machine with laundry detergent. The N95 mask is not recommended that you wash them at all, because, and also with the surgical mask, they have some kind of static layer that is used to attract the particles, and different types of things can damage that static activity. So it's recommended, particularly with the N95 mask, that you just put it in a paper bag and just let it sit for 5 to 7 days and allow any virus time just to die off. And that's how that's recommended. There are other things you can use, like UV sanitizers, but you do have to be careful with that electrostatic element of those different types of masks, like the N95. And of course, for more information, visit maconcares.org.